Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Altman, and we're here today with Jack Myers, a media ecologist and author of Hooked Up, a new generation's surprising take on sex, politics, and saving the world. Hi, we're here with Jack Myers, author of Hooked Up, a new generation's surprising take on sex, politics, and saving the world. Jack, my wife and I met on a bus here in Manhattan. She picked me up on a bus in Manhattan. This was 40 years ago.
Congratulations.
How are people hooking up today?
Well, they're hooking up online. You know, the average college student today has about 400 Facebook friends. And they know the vast majority, 95 to 100% of those people personally. They have a personal relationship. They're meeting people in all different types of situations, and then they're connecting on Facebook, or they're being introduced on Facebook. And they're flirting on Facebook. They're connecting through text messages. And the whole idea of the first date, the whole idea of Friday night dinner and a movie, that's past history. It doesn't really happen anymore. They connect on Facebook, they connect through texting, and then they make a decision to come together. And when they come together, it's often sexual because they've been connecting and they feel there's a relationship.
We're going back to the future. We really are. We had that generation where you wrote letters to one another. That's how you communicated.
You courted.
People courted that way, and sex was way, way, way later. Then we came in with the 60s, and sex was first, and then you talked later, and now we're kind of going back to that.
Well, no, we're not going back to the original with the letters,
right,
the courtship.
Right.
The difference is the sexual relationship doesn't necessarily predict a long-term relationship. In fact, women especially are far less interested in long-term relationships. They're interested in sexual relationships, but they're not necessarily interested in having a guy, as they say to me in the research I did for the book, the last thing they want is an immature guy dragging them down. They're focused, they're working hard, their careers are really important to them, they know how competitive it's going to be out there, and they want the benefits of sex, but they don't necessarily want the relationship dragging them down as they look at their future.
So they don't mind the immature guy having sex with, but they do mind the immature guy holding on and
You know, it's interesting,
down.
Because they're not looking at the long-term relationship part of it, they're not upset or disturbed by the idea that the guy's into cars and sports and beer and the image we see in the beer commercials.
Right.
You know, they actually embrace that and say, have fun, go ahead, it's not a problem to me. And because they're not interested in the long-term relationship, they're accepting of it. When they think of the long-term relationship and being with this guy, you know, forget it. So it's really giving guys the freedom to be guys and women the freedom to be who they want to be.
I like that take on it. I really do. It's very optimistic. It's very positive. I would add to you that when she gets serious and says, well, you know, I'm obviously not going to choose this kind of guy for the longer term, finds that guy for the longer term, and then after a good deal of term, he's the one drinking the beer and doing the old guy stuff again.
Well, that's you know, I think that women are on average 15 to 20 years old, more mature than men. So, you know, there is that catch-up time, and that's going to be, I think that's going to be an issue in the future. But frankly, guys are also becoming much more aware of a woman's needs and fulfilling and a relationship built around mutual interests and mutual needs. And because they're moving into relationships later in life at this point in time, and of course my expertise or who I studied are 18 to 22, they're in college today. But my guess is that when they do enter into relationships a little later in life, they're going to be more sustained, they're going to be more long-term, they're going to be more built around mutual needs and benefits, and the women will have their own careers and their own futures to look out for as well.
Well, let's get into that in a little bit with our next segment. We'll look at the men.
Great.